I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young Marine saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud. With hair cut square and eyes alert, he'd stand out in any crowd. I thought how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many died on foreign soil, how many mothers' tears, how many pilots planes shot down, how many died at sea, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom is not free. I heard the sound of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play and felt a sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen when a flag had draped the coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of fathers, sons, and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom is not free. Thank you for being here, and God bless you all.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Westview Cemetery and our annual Memorial Day cemetery service. With us this morning, the honor guard from Blanche Ely High School, looking great, and we again have our Boy Scouts from Troop 299. Last year, this flagpole was erected by Kyle Herbert, an Eagle Scout from Pompano, and we will again grace this flagpole with the colors of our country. The Boy Scouts of 299, please come forward. This Boy Scout group comprised of Carmen Santino, Brian Junko, Wesley Mueller, Joey Thomas, Bill Motto, under the direction of the Muller family. Mr. and Mr. Muller are the troop leaders, Troop 299. Under the direction of Sergeant at Arms Marty Roberts.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The first Memorial Day in our great country was May 30th, 1868. It was declared to be a day for decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country in the late rebellion. The commander-in-chief of the great army then of the Republic, John Logan, was speaking of the Civil War, where over 620,000 Americans gave their lives. This day has endured as a fitting memorial to honor all those who died or suffered in all the wars since then. It honors the mothers and fathers, the brothers and sisters, who have suffered tragic losses in defense of this great democracy. Many have paid the ultimate sacrifice so that the rest of us are able to live in freedom. How different our lives would have been had we not won. We are gathered together today to say a heartfelt thank you to those who represent countries, military, and who lost a loved one. Let us promise to always remember and pay respect to those who have gone before us. Let us all work together in our own way to cherish that memory and strive to make this country even greater. Thank you.
First, what I'd like to do is thank all those folks responsible for this action here today. Commissioner Shelley, the boys clubs, veterans, fire department, police department, citizens of Pompano. I must tell you, as I sat here, I am humbled by the fact that we have the resolve not to forget those folks who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we may be here today. But I am also humbled to the fact that as we stand here and honor those folks who have passed, we also must remember that those of us who come back should do all that we can do to ensure that their resting place is a fitting resting place. And to that end, there are a significant number of people here to ensure that happens. You know, I always say that change will happen anyway, yet the direction change will take depends upon active participation. And I see here today, change is happening, and we should all be commended. And on this particular day, Memorial Day, yes, indeed, in fact, freedom is not free. But we should not forget those folks who made that sacrifice for us. Thanks.
Isaac Baker, U.S. Army.
Archie Hawks, Army.
St. Matthew Clemens, U.S. Army.
Odin Wiggins, Marine.
Andrew Hudson, U.S. Army.
George Adams, Army.
Theo Roberts, U.S. Army.
Julius Henley, Army.
Barbara Smith, U.S. Army.
Jasper Rogers, Army.
Isaac Cornelius Rowe, U.S. Army.
Roy Manley, Air Force.
Clyde E. Harris, U.S. Army.
Tyler Williams, Army.
Ethel Taffet, U.S. Army.
Jimmy Joyner, Air Force.
Larry Sears, Private, U.S. Army.
Jimmy Joyner, Air Force.
Andrews Gray, U.S. Army.
Thomas Jones, Army.
Moses Baker, Sr., U.S. Army.
Joseph Bryant, Army.
Jackie Roberts Grimm, U.S. Army.
George Alexander, Army.
Oliver Bell, Marine veteran.
Walter Moore, Army.
Harris, Army.
Lee Troy Fraser, Navy.
Samuel Roberts, U.S. Army.
Alvin Rowe, Army.
Harry Francis, U.S. Army.
Robert Rowe, Army.
Leo Simmons, U.S. Army.
Roger Rowe, United States Coast Guard.
Jerry Lee Miles, Korea, U.S. Army.
James Clark Jr., Army.
Darrell Johnson, U.S. Army.
Henderson Hunter, Air Force.
Ethel Robson, U.S. Army, World War II.
Nelson Williams, Army.
George Secretary, U.S. Army.
John Robinson, Navy.
Lewis Taylor, U.S. Army.
James Beard, Army.
Eugene McLeod, World War I.
Charles Davis, Army.
David Moore, U.S. Army.
Ronald Wesley, Army.
James Cook, World War II.
Earl Jones, Army.
Ned Black, Army, World War I.
Robert Allen, Army.
Leroy Hawkinson, World War II.
Louis Knight, Air Force.
Elijah McHenry, Korea, U.S. Army.
William Bell, World War I.
David McClendon, Air Force.
Tom Kennedy, World War II.
Frank Tillman, U.S. Army, World War II.
Willie Graham, Army.
William Henry Lee, U.S. Army, Korea.
Percy Thornton, Army.
Jerry Lee McLeod, U.S. Army.
Will Rogers, Army.
Clyde Darman, U.S. Army.
Sam Garrett, Army.
Larry Sears, Private, U.S. Army.
Arnie Banks, Army.
Darrell Emerson, U.S. Army.
William Jackson, Army. Willie Patterson, Army. Clarence Way, Army. Thomas Emerson, Marine. Virgil Riggs, Army. Ivy League Rooms, Air Force. James Thompson, Army. John Peterson, Army. Rudolph Blue, Army. Edie Jones, World War II. Leroy Gates, Army. David Lee, Jr., Army. Dolphus White, Army. Charles Rolls, Army. Thomas Phillips, Army. If there's anybody we missed, we're sorry, we regret it. If anybody here knows anybody that's buried here, please give the names to 48 Funeral Home and we'll announce it next year. Thank you.
This year's Memorial Day Parade and Cemetery Service, prime sponsor this year is our Veterans of Foreign War, Post 8182, and here to welcome you all this morning is the Commander Roland Bryant from 8182. Roland.
Thank you, Governor. I'd like to thank you for all coming. I had a speech prepared, but it doesn't really say what comes from the heart. The reason we're here today is because of our fallen comrades. And I hope we can do this every year and keep the tradition going. And to their families, you have my sympathy. Thank you for all coming, and I'll turn it back over to Bob. Bob?
God bless Roland and those many veterans who served and came back. Thank God for them. I think you all know our city manager, Bill Hoggett. He's a captain at a West Point. Went to Vietnam and served us and received 3 Bronze Stars. And we also have PFC in 1966, who was in Vietnam, earned a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. If you get a chance this week, take a look at the High Riser magazine. There's a picture there of Johnny Owens, who's right here with us. He's a hero. He's a real hero. Thank God he came back to us. He was a point man on a platoon in Vietnam. There's many men and women who are right here that served in the same way. So John Owens, PFC from Vietnam, and Captain Bill Hoggett, please come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag.
Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to personally recognize our newest state legislator, Connie Mack. Connie, you want to come up and say hi? Connie, recently elected, District 91. Say hi, Connie.
Thank you very much. I'm just honored to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this day when we remember those who fought so hard for the freedom that we get to enjoy today. And thank you very much.
Thank you, State Representative Connie Mack. Major Rick Fry is here, and Captain Knowles is here, and we appreciate all them. But here to represent all of them in our police department is Sheriff Ken Jenny. Ken, come on up, please.
We're coming here today to recognize and say thank you to those that could not be here today because they fell in the field of battle in the service to this nation and to us. We recognize today that this is an opportunity that we have as Americans and as Floridians to come together and say thank you. It is a tradition of over a century and a third that Americans have done this. There have been times when we've agreed with wars and a time when we've disagreed with war, but never have we failed, or should have we failed, to say thank you to those that have served. So to those who have fallen and are not here today, this is our way of expressing our gratitude. It is our way of always remembering those known and unknown. It is our way of saying thank you to those of generation upon generation who make it possible for us to meet in the sanctity, in the peace that we enjoy today.
There's some that never came back. They're missing in action. And here to tell you a little bit about that from our Barbara Ferguson. Come forward, please. Barbara is from Post 8182, Ladies Auxiliary, and this table here in front of us has a story to it, and Barbara will tell you about it.
This table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who kept the faith awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember. There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us today. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember.
Over 2,000 still missing in action from Vietnam War, and there's somewhat 50,000 missing in World War II and other that were never accounted for. So let's remember them too today in our prayers. At this time, Sergeant Marty Roberts, who's our Sergeant at Arms of our Honor Guard, will prepare our rifle salute and the playing of taps. Taps will be played by Richard Talbot. He's a Desert Storm vet. He's a member of our VFW and also one of the sheriff's deputies.
Today, Memorial Day, is about celebrating all people, all our ancestors and forefathers who have created the world we live in today.
Let us promise to always remember and pay respect to those who have gone before us. Let us all work together in our own way to cherish that memory and strive to make this country even greater.
Because we can look at one another due to those sacrifices and talk to each other. We can look at one another and know that we are indeed, in fact, truly free. And because of that freedom, we are all Americans and we have the ability to change.
We recognize today that this is an opportunity that we have as Americans and as Floridians to come together and say thank you.